of the GIT, but we started looking at the accessory organs. So today we are going to look at the liver in detail. We're going to look at the liver in detail, and I'm sure we have all heard of the liver, and the liver is said to be the largest gland in the body. It weighs about 1.6 kgs in males and about 1.3 kgs in females. It is situated primarily in the right hypochondriac mostly, then the epigastric region, and then the left hypochondriac regions. You can also find a small portion of the liver. The functions of the liver include detoxification. Okay, this is a very well-known function of the liver. Okay, so these functions of the liver include: 1, detoxification, storage of carbohydrates. When someone eats carbohydrates and they're in excess, they are stored, some of them are stored in the liver in form of glycogen. They synthesize, the liver also synthesizes proteins such as albumin and fibrin, which are very important proteins for clotting and maintaining oncotic and osmotic pressures, respectively. Then production of heparin, as well as production of bile. Heparin is an inflammatory mediator, and bile is important for the digestion of fats. It emulsifies fats, meaning it gives the enzyme lipase a larger surface area for working on the fats. The liver also stores several vitamins as well as minerals such as iron and copper. And then the other function, among others, is the formation of red blood cells, especially in children, okay, in infants. Now, what are the surfaces of the liver? When you talk about surfaces of the liver, you are talking about those areas You're talking about areas, how many sides does the liver have? Okay, so you're talking about how many sides does the liver have? So we have the superior surface, meaning the side that you are able to see when you look at this human being from the top. Okay, then we have the anterior surface, the surface that faces anteriorly and is in contact with the anterior abdominal wall. Okay, and then we have the right surface, which is adjacent to the right dome of the diaphragm, and then we have the posterior surface, which is in contact with the posterior abdominal wall, and then the inferior surface, which is in contact with most of the viscera. Okay, it is in contact with several viscera. It is in contact with the kidney, the right kidney, in contact with the right adrenal gland, in contact with the hepatic flexure of the colon. It is in contact with several abdominal viscera. Now, when you look at the liver, you will notice that it is divided into lobes. It is divided into lobes, and some of the lobes include the major lobe being the right lobe, okay? The right lobe. So the right lobe is the largest lobe of the liver, okay? And then we have the left lobe, which is much smaller than the liver. And then we have other smaller lobes. We have, when you turn the liver, you look at it from the posterior inferior aspect, you are going to notice that you will see two more lobes in the middle. We have the caudate lobe, okay? the caudate lobe, and then we have the quadrate lobe. Okay, so we have the caudate lobe over there and the quadrate lobe. So the caudate lobe is visible as a prominence on the inferior and posterior surfaces, while the quadrate lobe is a prominence on the inferior surface of the liver. The right and left lobes of the liver are separated by a ligament in the middle. This whitish thing that you're seeing there, that ligament is known as the falciform ligament, and it's the one that separates the right lobe from the left lobe. The gallbladder lies in a shallow fossa on the right of the quadrate lobe. Now, what are the attachments of the liver? The liver obviously is supposed to be attached to some things, okay? And what are the ligaments of the liver? So some of these ligaments allow it to be attached to certain things. So first of all, we have the falciform ligament. This falciform ligament, this whitish membrane you're seeing in the middle of the right and left lobe, this attaches the liver to the anterior abdominal wall. And then we have the ligamentum teres, that is the roundish portion coming off of the falciform ligament, okay? That round, it's like a tube, not really round, but it's round, but it's like a string, okay? So this is the round ligament or ligamentum teres. Teres means round, okay? So this is a remnant of the left umbilical vein. As a fetus is growing in the mother's womb, they have a left and right umbilical vein, but as the fetus grows, the left umbilical vein obliterates, meaning it stops functioning. So it remains, and in an adult, it forms a ligament. And this ligament is therefore known as the ligamentum teres. And then we have the coronary ligament. The coronary ligament is formed by the reflection of the peritoneum from the diaphragm. So if you look at this liver, we're looking at it from the posterior aspect. On the posterior aspect, you see that the anterior surface is covered by a certain membrane, okay? The whole anterior surface and the superior surface is covered, and then also all around towards the inferior aspect of the liver. But there's a portion here which is known as the bare area, okay? So the bare area is an area that is not covered. Now this part, which connect this membrane, which connects the membrane which covers the anterior, the superior portion of the liver and connects it to the diaphragm. This membrane over here, this is what is known as the coronary ligament. Now, this coronary ligament on both sides, on the left and the right side, the coronary ligament from the inferior aspect and the superior aspect, they meet. And once they meet, they form two ligaments, the left triangular ligament and the right triangular ligament. Those are some of the ligaments of the liver. And then we have the lesser omentum. Remember when we were talking about the mesentery, we talked about the peritoneum and the mesentery, and I did mention that we have one, the greater omentum, which is a membrane that folds and covers most of the intestines, okay, falling from the stomach like a skirt over the abdominal viscera, or like an apron over the abdominal viscera. And then there is this other membrane here between the liver and the stomach, okay? Between the liver and the stomach. If you look at that small membrane there, okay, you notice that it is coming all the way from the liver, okay? It is coming down into the down and attaching itself to the lesser curvature of the stomach and to the first part of the duodenum, okay? So this ligament is known as This ligament is known as the lesser omentum. Okay, this is the lesser omentum, or the hepatogastric ligament. There is this smaller ligament here, which is attaching the liver to the duodenum. Okay, if you notice in this omentum, the smaller omentum, there is something like a hole here where you're able to see the vessels, the blood vessels, and the bile duct. And there is this smaller portion towards the left here, and this is known as the hepatoduodenal ligament. The other thing I need to make mention of is behind, there is a space behind the lesser omentum. Now there's the small foramen which leads into that space, okay? Which leads into that space. This small hole there where the arrow is pointing, that is known as the omentoepiploic foramen of Winslow. Okay, omentoforamen of Winslow, or epiploic foramen of Winslow. Okay, those are some of the ligaments of the liver. Those are some of the ligaments of the liver. When you look at the other thing, maybe we can look at is the ligamentum venosum. Okay, ligamentum venosum. Ligamentum venosum is the ligament in which you're going to find the portal vein, okay? As the portal vein is entering the liver, okay, you're going to find the ligament that it covers, okay? I don't know if on this picture it's there, but that is what is known as the ligamentum venosum. Now, there is a portion of the liver known as the porta hepatis. The porta hepatis is a deep transverse fissure. A fissure is like a furrow, okay? This one is situated in the inferior aspect of the liver between the quadrate lobe. Remember, we said the quadrate lobe is this one, which is at the bottom, okay, between the gallbladder and the left lobe of the liver. That one, because it has 2 sides, it has 4 sides, so it is known as quadrate lobe. So we are saying that this porta hepatis is found between the quadrate lobe anteriorly. So the quadrate lobe will be on the anterior aspect, and the caudate process posteriorly. So this area, okay, in between where you find these vessels entering the liver, that is the porta hepatis. It contains the portal vein, okay, the hepatic artery, and the hepatic nervous plexus. That is the porta hepatis. And these ones, this is when it is ascending into the parenchyma of the liver, and the right and left hepatic ducts are also found there as they are coming out of the liver. Okay, so that is what you're going to find at the porta hepatis. Now, what is the blood supply of the liver? Now, we have the hepatic artery. Yesterday, we talked about the hepatic artery. Okay, when you look at the aorta, okay, the aorta is a big blood vessel that is coming from the heart. So if you look at this picture here, you notice that first of all, we have the aorta, okay, written abdominal aorta over here. All right, if you see this abdominal aorta over here, the first branch in the abdomen is this big branch known as the celiac trunk, okay? That one over there, that is the celiac trunk. From the celiac trunk, we have several branches, and one of the branches that you're going to find is the common hepatic artery. the common hepatic artery. The common hepatic artery will also bifurcate into several other parts, several other vessels, but right now we're interested in the branch which takes blood to the liver, and the branch which takes blood to the liver is the hepatic artery proper. Now, the hepatic artery proper will therefore further divide into the right and left hepatic arteries, taking blood one to the left lobe and the other to the right lobe. Okay, so we are saying that the hepatic artery originates from the celiac trunk. It is subdivided into the common hepatic artery and the hepatic artery proper, and then it ascends anterior to the portal vein and medial to the bile duct, okay, in the lesser omentum. And then it divides into the left and right branches in the porta hepatis. That is how the liver gets its oxygen and some of the nutrients. Now, what is the venous drainage of the liver or venous supply of the liver? So we have the portal system. Yesterday we mentioned that the major portions of the intestines are drained by the portal system. Okay, so we have a lot of veins coming from the small intestines and part of the large intestines, and as they ascend, they form this large blood vessel known as the superior mesenteric vein. Okay, known as the superior mesenteric vein. Now, this superior mesenteric vein, together with other branches, will drain other organs, including the spleen. If you see the spleen over there, the organ which is looking grayish in color, so it is also going to be drained. And once that drain or all these veins come together, they are going to make a major blood vessel known as the hepatic portal vein, okay? Known as the hepatic portal vein. Now, once the hepatic portal vein is formed, it then divides into the right and left branches at the hilum of the liver. And then the veins will then divide. These two veins will then divide into several veins and venules. Most of the liver drains by three major hepatic veins, as we can see from this diagram here. These major hepatic veins, remember we are from talking about the hepatic portal vein here, and this one goes and divides into left and right. And after it divides into left and right, once it drains the rest of the liver, this blood will then be drained into three major veins. These include the right hepatic vein, the intermediate hepatic vein, and the left hepatic vein. And these three will drain into the inferior vena cava. Okay, these three will drain into the inferior vena cava. Now, what happens in the liver once blood goes through the portal vein? Okay, once the blood goes through the portal vein. So that brings us to the histology of the liver. So most of the surface of the liver is covered by serosa. Remember, we said most organs are covered by a membrane, which is either serosa or adventitia, and therefore we're saying the liver is covered by serosa. Beneath the liver, beneath the serosa, that encloses the whole organ, there is a thin capsule. This thin capsule is made up of connective tissue. Now, this connective tissue will send several trabeculae into the liver, and these trabeculae would divide the liver into several portions, okay? Into several portions. So if you look at this one, we have these several portions which are looking hexagonal in nature. We have so on this picture that is here at the top, all right, we have 4 segments that have been divided by the trabeculae that are coming from the capsule of the liver, all right. Okay. So beneath this is what we're talking about. Beneath this and enclosing the whole organ is a capsule, and this capsule sends in trabeculae that will divide the liver into several lobes or lobules. So we have branches of the hepatic artery and hepatic portal vein that will go inside. Okay, once they go inside, you are seeing at the bottom here, we have the hepatic portal vein, which is going inside. And then the red ones, those are part of the portal of the hepatic artery. Those are arterioles, which are branches of the hepatic artery. And as they go into each of these lobules, they go in together with one portal vein, which is a branch of the portal vein, and one bile duct, okay? And one, so there is 3, the portal arteriole, a bile duct, and a portal vein. And these 3 will make what is known as a portal triad. These 3 will make what is known as a portal triad. These portal triads are found at designated points of the lobules. And these lobules are structural units of the liver. Those lobules that are divided by the trabeculae that are sent in by the capsule, okay, that covers the livers, those are the structural units. They are the ones that have the hepatocytes. So they are made in such a way that there is one vein in the middle, okay? This vein in the middle is formed by the blood which comes and collects there, coming from the portal venules, okay? From the portal venules, the blood will start going in the middle of every lobule, forming the central vein. The blood which is going in the middle there to form the central vein is passing through these paths, I can call them paths, and these paths, the blue ones, the ones in blue, these coming from the portal venules, these are known as sinusoids. As the blood is moving from the portal venules, they are going in the middle of the lobule to form the central vein. Okay, to form the central vein, and then blood is therefore carried to the interlobar veins, and then these are then taking the blood to the hepatic vein. In the sides of the sinusoids, you find columns of hepatocytes. Those ones that are looking brownish in color, those are hepatocytes, several columns of hepatocytes. Okay, so you find that there are these several columns of the hepatocytes, and in the middle, you're going to find these paths known as sinusoids, and these sinusoids will come and meet in the middle to form the central vein, which carries blood now to the hepatic vein. Now, these lobules are therefore divided into 3 types of lobules. So one, we have this classic lobule, okay, the one that is shown here, the one that has all the blue in it. This is the classic lobule. The classic lobule is the endocrine functional structure, which has a relationship between hepatocytes and blood. And as blood flows through the hepatocytes, towards the central vein, the blood is being detoxified of everything that it has come with, and everything else that should be taken is taken from there. For example, a few nutrients will be taken, and so this lobule is representing the classic lobule. Now, apart from the classic lobule, you're going to find that there is a situation where we are going to now have the portal lobule. The portal lobule is emphasizing the hepatocyte's exocrine function and the flow of bile from regions of 3 classic lobules, okay, towards the bile duct. So if you look at here, we're saying that if you get about that one that is, for example, the green one, if you look at this green bile duct, this time this is the one that is going to be in the center, okay? Means this is the one which is going to be in the center, and therefore for the portal lobule we are getting one central vein, another central vein, another central vein, and we are putting the bile duct in the center to make this triangular portion here, okay, to make this triangular portion in the middle. And this one stands for the exocrine function of the flow of bile. As bile is flowing from the hepatocytes around this lobule, the bile will then go into the bile duct, that green portion there, that green vessel. And then apart from that, we now have the hepatic acinas. The hepatic acinas are representing the flow of blood from the arteries. So if we take 2 points of arteries from the portal triads, 2 portal triads, we get 2 points, and then we get 2 central veins. So making this shape, diamond shape here. Now this represents, it means that the blood, the hepatocytes that are near these 2 blood vessels will be supplied with much, much fresher blood. And as it is going out towards where now there is white, imagine in the middle there is a peach color. That means these cells are supplied nicely with very fresh blood. And as it is going towards the central vein, some of these are not supplied with very fresh blood, okay? So this means that these cells here are the first to receive very fresh blood. So those are the lobules of the liver, okay? Now some of the cells of the liver include hepatocytes, which we've already talked about. These are the main cells of the liver, the hepatocytes. They're the ones that carry out the functions of the liver. And then we have the fat storing cells. These are also known as Ito cells or hepatic stellate cells. And then we have endothelial cells, the cells of the sinusoids, those that line the sinusoids in the liver. And then we have the macrophages of the liver. Remember, I told you that macrophages are named according to which organ they are in. And therefore, in the liver, the macrophages are known as Kupffer cells. And then we have cholangiocytes. Cholangiocytes, these are epithelial cells of the biliary tree, meaning that the bile system, the ducts going to the gallbladder. And then we have hepatic stem cells. Almost all organs have stem cells which grow into mature cells of that particular organ. And then we have natural killer cells. These are lymphocytes. These are white blood cells which help in the fighting off of microorganisms or killing off dead cells within the liver. And then we have connective tissue cells, which are coming from the capsule, okay? Which are coming from that capsule that we talked about, which sends trabecula into the liver. Any questions?